Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into this. Today, we're going to trace a very common, very powerful English word all the way back to its roots. And let me tell you, its origin is a fascinating, incredibly complex, and deeply misunderstood ancient Indian deity. We're going to peel back the layers of history, of colonialism, and religion to show you how a massive, joyful festival of devotion was somehow mistranslated into a symbol of pure destruction. It's honestly an incredible story of collision.
We all know the word, right? Juggernaut. It means a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force or institution. We use it all the time to describe, unstoppable sports teams, massive corporations, or towering political campaigns. It basically implies something that just crushes everything in its path. But where did this idea of a terrifying, unstoppable force actually come from?
Well, here's the twist. The English word juggernaut doesn't come from some ancient military weapon or a ruthless empire. It actually originates from the word Jagannath, which translates from Sanskrit to Lord of the Universe. Jagannath is a supreme Hindu deity, primarily worshipped in eastern India, specifically in the state of Odisha. So wait a minute, how on earth did the Lord of the Universe become a synonym for a destructive, crushing force in English?
To figure that out, we have to look back at early 19th century British missionaries. In 1811, a Christian missionary named Claudius Buchanan described it as a, and I quote, bloody, violent, superstitious, and backward religious system. When British observers witnessed the massive chariot festival dedicated to Jagannath, they completely misunderstood what they were looking at. They saw the sheer, unbelievable scale, the fervor of hundreds of thousands of devotees, and they basically weaponized the term. Buchanan and others presented the tradition to Western audiences as this savage, crushing force. They literally flipped the script, taking an event centered entirely on devotion and branding it as a terrifying juggernaut.
Section 1. The Visual Anomaly, a god made of wood.
When you picture a typical Hindu deity, you probably think of figures carved from stone or cast in metal, right? They usually have distinctly human-like features, and they're permanent fixtures in their temples. But Jagannath is a massive visual anomaly. This deity is carved entirely from neem wood. He's limbless, featuring this highly abstract, flat-headed face with huge circular eyes. And beautifully enough, the idol isn't even permanent. It's ritually replaced every 12 to 19 years in a massive grand ceremony. It's a complete departure from standard iconography.
And he's rarely alone up there on the altar. Jagannath is actually part of a triad. You have Jagannath with his dark face and huge circular eyes. Then there's his brother, Balabhadra, who has a white face and a semicircular head. Right beside them is their sister, Subhadra, depicted with a yellow face. And finally, rounding out the group is the Sudarshana Chakra, which is a red wooden pillar representing a divine weapon. The incredibly specific geometries and bright, distinct colors make this whole setup visually striking. So why does the Lord of the Universe look so remarkably different from other Hindu gods? Well, to answer that, we've got to do a little historical detective work.
Section 2. A Tapestry of Faiths, Solving the Origins Mystery.
The crucial thing to understand here is that Jagannath is the ultimate syncretic deity. It's a beautiful blending of multiple distinct traditions over thousands of years. Back in the ancient era, tribal communities worshipped wooden deities and had non-Brahmin priests known as daitas. And amazingly, that tradition is still alive in the temple today. Moving into antiquity, Buddhist influences start showing up, including rumors of a tooth relic hidden right inside the wooden idol. In the early Middle Ages, we start seeing Jain influences, like the 22 steps of the temple mirroring Jain Tirthankaras or spiritual teachers. And finally, by the 12th century, all these different threads were seamlessly assimilated into mainstream Hinduism and Vaishnavism. It's literally a tapestry of faiths woven into one single figure. Now, let's shift gears to the main event, the incredible logistical mechanics of the festival that birthed our English word.
Section 3. The Rath Yatra, a chariot festival of epic scale.
Just looking at the logistics makes the massive scale of this event so much more tangible. Every single year, 3 brand new wooden chariots are constructed entirely from scratch. Jagannath rides the Nandigosha, this vibrant red and yellow chariot with 16 massive wheels. Balabhadra rides the Taladwaja with 14 wheels, and Subhadra rides the Darpadalana with 12 wheels. You have to understand, these aren't just parade floats. They are quite literally mobile architectural marvels pulled through the streets by thousands of devotees.
I want you to just pause and think about this number for a second. 44 feet. That is the height of Jagannath's chariot.
Imagine standing in the street and watching a brightly colored wooden temple building standing over 4 stories tall, rolling directly toward you, pulled by an absolute sea of humanity. When you put it into that perspective, it's pretty easy to see why those early British observers, who were totally unfamiliar with the culture, felt like they were staring down an unstoppable, overwhelming force.
The festival itself has this really fascinating, highly structured progression. It kicks off with a grand public bathing ritual. But because they are bathed in over 100 pots of water, the wooden deities catch a cold. Seriously, they actually fall ill and spend 2 weeks convalescing or healing in secret. Once they've recovered, they embark on the Rath Yatra, which is a 3-kilometer chariot journey to their aunt's temple. They hang out there for a week before the Puri Yatra, their grand return journey home.
And that return journey wraps up with an absolutely breathtaking ritual called Suna Besha. The deities, while still seated up on their massive chariots, are adorned with a staggering 208 kilograms of solid gold jewelry. Hundreds of thousands of devotees gather just to catch a glimpse of this golden spectacle. It's a profound, joyful display of devotion. So we've seen the scale, but what does all of this actually mean? Because far from being a force of destruction, Jagannath is actually a unifying force that transcends borders.
Section 4. The Unifying Force, Transcending Borders.
At its true core, the heart of the Juggernaut is all about breaking down barriers. Before those giant chariots even move an inch, the local king performs the Charampahara. He takes a broom and sweeps the road in front of the chariots, acting as a humble servant just like anyone else. Inside the temple itself, strict caste distinctions are historically ignored. What's more, the descendants of those ancient tribal groups, the non-Brahmin Daita priests, they hold the exclusive privilege of serving the deity's principal meals. And today, this deep message of unity has spread globally, with these chariot festivals being held in major cities all over the world through the ISKCON movement.
So, we started this explainer with a word that means a crushing, overwhelming force of absolute destruction. But as we've seen, it actually originates from a magnificent festival of immense devotion, syncretic history, and profound social leveling. Which leaves us with a pretty big final thought. If an unstoppable force is actually driven by unity rather than destruction, how many other juggernauts of history have we completely misunderstood? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.